for the month of July, and this month he's promising to do more of that. That is a great one there. Okay, so let's listen to another one. Dr. Haptem from Sweden, if I'm not mistaken. Dr. Haptem, glad to see you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. That doctor is just a kind of a nickname. Thank you, though, anyway. Yeah. Greeting to all members of this great visionary committed community. Before I give my suggestion, I first to wish admin to have great health and to come very sound and strong. And also to say Gina a little bit about Gina. Don't worry, we are community. If there is a pain, we have to share it. And like Mr. TBC professional just said, you know, really, we have to share the pain of because we are community. Yeah, and also I would suggest Gina, you know, life is full of lessons. You know, just to access such a great success, you need all those pains, you know, and this is a process of growth in even in spirituality, whether it is in faith, in hope, or in love. You know, you have to pass through those things and be strong. And be strong, and also you are with a very, very strong community here, because otherwise, you know, we can. There are many assemblies and many communities out there, but not with the vision we have here, because we are going to change the sufferings from all the world. You know, you don't have to borrow money anymore, and nobody has to borrow money. That's where we're heading. That's what we are here for. So I would like to say, Gina, don't worry, it's going to be the past, but we have to pass through it. You know, that's why, you know, this is a spiritual growth. You know, that's how let us grow in faith, in hope, and in love. So that's the process. So I would like just to mention that because when you are in pain, you forget all those things. I know you know those for well, but because you are in pain now, so you don't remember all those things. So don't worry. Having said that, you know, the computer doesn't communicate you know, because the computer is programmed like that, but the people does. So the final say is going to be admin. So he can order the programmers, you know, to do a little bit more job to correct all those. Of course, that is money. That brings me to money. Why the admin brought this visionary idea of this food subsidy center? There are many goals, but one is to reach the poor. That's the main goal. Second is to reach mass adoption and to make it more believable, more accessible, more spendable. TBC is. So to make that, these food subsidy centers are kind of a grease for the machine we have, this TBC machine. Those are a grease to help us to go reach there. So there are some countries with overpopulation cities, and admin have those big picture. So first, his idea was to reach 3 food subsidy centers in each country. There are about 3,300 countries in the world, if I am mistaken, 290 something, 91 or something. So in those countries, if we have 3 subsidy centers, that will be the news will go so fast. That was his initial one of his ideas. But later on, he considered the population, and then he said, okay, 50 miles radius, give me that 1,000 members, and then I'll open it for you. And later on, that 50 miles is, for some of us in kilometers, is around 80 kilometers radius. Okay, we find some problematics, and we're suggesting, okay, let's make it city-wise. Okay, so I can speak, for other countries, but the town I am living in still it doesn't make any sense at all. Even they don't care about food subsidy center. It's not an issue for them. I live in Europe, so it is not an issue. There are not that many poor people here. So for them, it's just like, okay, give me something else. Like, I have to talk another thing. So I tried it. Uh, for me, assembly would be working here. So
Right.
to come to the point, okay, when we have small is good idea to start with. Like any business, like admin started himself. Now we are about 4 million people. That's a good news, a good positive thing. However, look at not the core, the rotator, where it's supposed to be 11,000, 1,100 people. If we have only India or let's say Cameroon or Nigeria, all those 11,000, at least we have the admins has a cushion to run the business so fast. I mean, like to develop because this computer stuff and if you read about bitcoins, they have to switch places and to be flexible and run. They spend millions and millions of dollars. Admin doesn't have that flexibility, but we are not that spendable right now. But by that time, we need infrastructures that run like 300 uh, thousands transaction in a second. All of us we are purchasing online, so we can't handle to handle that. We need a big infrastructure. So let's help him. How we help him? By filling up those rotator and core groups. In order to do that, I don't mind it's coming from Cameroon, Nigeria, or Sudan. It doesn't matter. But he gets a cushion to run the business so he can expand, he can launch. But now he's so limited. We are limiting him so much because we don't give him a cushion. So I don't mind if you start like a 50 person, but how are you going to subsidize that one? Admin is going to give you half of the money you are bringing to the sponsors, half of it to the administration, half of it is going to be to the subsidy, set open subsidy centers. So help him. How are we going to work on that? I'm looking on his shoe. I'm just putting myself on his shoe, and so if you have an idea how we can solve that, then he will accept it as soon. He will run and be flexible, as long as we can bring. How we gonna put that subsidy center? How we fill the staff? And you have idea? So if you have idea, just let's discuss that and that would lead us to some positive issues. So before we take it to admin and hey, be flexible. I have 50 people here. Okay, okay. How much it costs in your town to open that kind of little store for those 50 guys? Because as I said, he has to pay, for the goods and stuff to fill up that local subsidy center. Not to mention the initial cost. So
Okay. Right.
yeah, so let me make it short and thank you for listening to me. Great contributions, and just let's be open and discuss on. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Abdom, for that wonderful contribution. I think that still boils down to how small is the small, just like what Feng said. How small is the small? So we need to consider all the expenses that admin is doing, paying the programmers, the servers every week. We have to consider all that, and 50% of what we are putting in goes to the sponsor, just like what Hapton is saying. So are we putting all that into consideration to see that we don't run out of business? Because if admin runs out of business, or if we run out of business, admin might just be fine. But what about us? We might not just be fine at all. And we don't even want to ever think of running out of business, right? Okay. So let's hear from Augustine. Let's hear from Augustine.
All right, thank you very much. And greetings to everyone. In fact, today's topic has been wonderful. I didn't want to actually contribute, but at some point, man, the contributions of people started, igniting that will to speak out. And I want to also say sorry to Gina. And I also want to say that um, we're in a community built on love and respect. Your cry will not go in vain. I believe that the administration knows how best to handle your matter. So relax. And I also want to contribute all the leaders of the food subsidy committee in Nigeria that made their contributions. You guys spoke well. And I also want to give a shout out to everyone that made their own contributions. Most of us want this food subsidy center to start up small. And initially, I wasn't in agreement, but you see, majority has to carry these votes. So I have to side with them. But then, within split seconds, it's a very dicey thing. If we do not do it well, we will fail. And no one wants to fail, especially at a time like this. So I also want to give a good shout out to Mr. Obindo. You call him Yubidu. No, that's an Igbo name. So it's Obindo. That's his name. And I also want to give a shout out to Fen. You guys made very good contributions. And my professor, I would pick from the three of you because my professor was the opinion that the idea of 50-mile radius would not apply. And to an extent, in our Nigerian setting, it may not apply, because most of us in Nigeria we are overtaken by the Thomas mentality. If we don't say, we won't believe. So I think I can side with that one. Now, on the area of Mr. Feng, he was of the opinion that how small, and it's also the same thing that Mr. Ubindu said, how small. Yes, if I would contribute, how small should be at least $20,000 should be the small, in my opinion. I stand to be corrected. Now, how can we achieve that goal? For my little small statistical analysis, if we have at least 5 countries that can measure up to 1,000 active members, it should suffice to sponsor one particular country in order, like from our food subsidy app. It was India that was leading. At some point, Ivory Coast took over. So at this point, Ivory Coast has the highest order. So if we have 5 countries that could make a monthly or yearly subscription up to 1,000, I think that funding should suffice to sponsor one of these countries, which is Ivory Coast. And with that, we should not be in a haste because this is still a test run. We could leave it for another 3 months to see how well Ivory Coast can multiply, and then let it be so obvious that people in Ivory Coast now see evidence. I believe in 3 months' time, it should create enough ripple effect to